just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
It was Memorial Day of 1911 that started it all. The first Indy 500 held here at the Yard of Bricks. More than 3 million bricks paved this circuit back in 1909. But today, for QSR Xfinity Series, it's the home for race number 9 of the season. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside me, Jake Reeves up in the broadcast booth. The redneck announcer. We've seen a lot here so far this season, and between the road courses and the mile and a halves, this track is all its own when it comes to getting around it.
Yeah, Bradley, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, this track is straight up unique as, honestly, you will get. I mean, you can look at its sister track, obviously the Pocono Raceway up in Pocono, Pennsylvania, but this track, I mean, you talk about Daytona, where we started at this season, right here, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Bradley, it's up there. I mean, it's up there as far as historic venues. There you see 2.5 miles in length, 4 turns, folks. Check that out right there. 4 turns. It's a rec oval, basically a rectangle. So you got 4 distinct each corner, 9 degrees of banking, and then you go with the front and the back stretch just literally flat. One thing we do want to mention, they always talk about, like you were talking about, the Yard of Bricks. The start-finish line here, very, very interesting. The start-finish line here is bricks all the way down from the outside wall to the inside wall. It's got that little bit of history here with this place. A lot of big names have won here as far as IndyCar and NASCAR, however you want to look at it. So a lot of big names have won here. Who's going to add their name to the list here for the QSR Xfinity Series.
Few racetracks can say that they saw the birthplace of motorsport, and even fewer can say they still exist. As we get ready for that race analysis coming up on your screen, 60 laps here today. 45 mile per hour speed limit. I believe that's actually 55 here at this racetrack. A little typo there. Tire sets available here tonight. 3 tire sets, 2 green-white checker attempts, and we can probably make it on 1 stop if you're in the draft, but these guys are going to have to plan that accordingly because the fuel limit is about 33 laps here today. We'll have to wait and see how these guys handle that. Points up on your screen right quick, and it's Daniel Molnex, of course, leading, and he's got about a 28-point advantage, or 28 points there over Ronnie Joyner. Those two have been really turning up the heat. Then you have Derek McMurtry, Dirk Likes. There's quite a few guys up here in the top 10, but it's a pretty big spread once you get past about 5th position.
Yeah, I mean, once you get past that, obviously, Jared Ziegler, last week's winner at Darlington, I mean, sitting right there in 6th. He's come along very, very hot as of late, being able to slide himself comfortably up there inside the top 10, looking pretty good. Obviously, Team Vspeed, Bradley and Morgan, both of them working together, sitting in the 7th spot. The owner, Quentin Stewart, sitting at 8th. CJ Gates, Mike Petrin. That's going to be a big one right there with Petrin sitting in 10th. You got Galen in 11th, Galen Wunsch, that is. But, I mean, you were talking about basically the top 5, and then it just kind of, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's that damn close all the way down to what is the 16th spot, which is held by Kevin West. So, going to be interesting to see. And also, top 4 guys, all of them, Venom Motorsports coming into tonight. All 4 of those drivers in the Venom Motorsports stable. All those guys wanting to try to be the big dog in that house.
Well, let's take a trackside now, get your grid up on the screen, and it's Jared Ziegler picking up right where he left off at Darlington with a 52.588 to start on the pole. He beats Ronnie Joyner by just under a tenth of a second to start outside. Third position goes to Trenton Wilkin with Kevin West in 4th. 5th goes to Daniel Molnix with Dirk Likes in 6th. Morgan Cook, Team Vspeed there in 7th position with Marshall Newton in 8th. And rounding out your top 10 is CJ Gates and Galen Wunsch.
And Caleb Nelson in the 07 is going to roll off P11 this evening. The 48 of Derek McMurtry will start in P12. Right behind them, Brett Allen and Joseph Terciano. They're going to make up row number 7. Mike Petrin and Randy Sal will end up being in P16. Vernon Markheim, I'm sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that one wrong, but Markheim, all right, there you go, we'll go with that one. He's going to be in 17th with Austin Dowdy 18th. Shane Ferguson, a new name here with the QSR Xfinity Series, going to start 19th, and Ethan Wisnowski will start in P20.
5 more cars out here on the racetrack. Spencer Johnson, Chris Nail, 21st and 22nd. Row number 12 goes to Frank Walsh, Clay Nelson. And rounding out your 25 car field, we have the number 3 of Ryan Combs. So the long straightaway here. You talked about that yard of bricks. Well, the start finish line has those bricks, and it is about 3/4 of the way down this front stretch. But here for the QSR Xfinity Series, the green flag is out in Indianapolis.
Everybody's going to try to see if they can get single file out as best as they possibly can. A lot of guys want to try to see if they can take the overtake right off the bat. Ziegler, he's going to get ahead of Jordan. Wilkin, he's going to fall right in line in 3rd. West is actually on the top side. He has got a freight train down on the bottom side. And it is a Venom Motorsports train down on the bottom, but now West able to get the run coming off of turn 2, jump right in front of Molnix and Dagger, Dirk Likes rather, in the 22. Looks like Likes is actually letting a couple of guys go. Morgan Cook going by him, and now Marshall Newton. How about CJ Gates going to slide up on the top side?
Gates in the 14 going to pick up 1 position here if he can get a good run on the outside. 76 very loose there off of turn 4. That'll allow the 14 to get that spot. But across the line to lead lap number 1, it's going to be Jared Ziegler picking up that bonus point.
Yeah, Joyner's basically right up on his back bumper. Wilkin, he hasn't left the back bumper neither. Front 3 cars trying to see if they can make a getaway. As West, Molnix, Cook, and Likes, all those guys back here with CJ Gates, Marshall Newton, and Caleb Nelson. That's the top 10. But the front 3 guys, Ziegler, Joyner, and Wilkin, they're trying to break away. Here comes Wilkin. Wilkin gets a run. Gets a little bit of that slingshot engaged. Joyner's going to back out of the gas and go ahead and let Wilkin ease on by. So take Trent Wilkin up to 2nd, kick Ronnie Joyner back to 3rd.
We saw this a little bit last week where the 12 car was fast in the short run, but at Darlington, those right front tires burned off pretty quickly, and we saw the 12 kind of suffer towards the end of that race. We had a long green flag run that kind of put the 12 on the back side of things, and he fell out of the top 5.
Yeah, that's something you really don't want to see here at Indianapolis. I mean, you know, Bradley, I know a lot of people can't see me at home, but I've actually got my Caterpillar hat on. And the cool thing about that is there's a reason behind that Caterpillar deal. If you go up here, you burn your tires up, you burn that right front off, guess what? You're going to be like a Caterpillar bulldozer, son. You're going to be sliding all the way up and pound each or even one of these 4 corners here on this rectangle oval. But Wilkin trying to get a run. He's looking to the inside on Ziegler. We may have a battle for the lead going on.
Top 3 right on top of each other. 3-way battle for first position. Jared Ziegler holding on to it as of right now. 0-0 rather. of Ronnie Joyner is going to get a good run out of 4, go to the inside of Wilkin down the front stretch. He'll have the nose and the advantage. Got to be careful with that side draft, but he will get it down into turn 1. Can he get the exit? He will.
Yeah, and he was able to get a pretty good run right there. Wilkin actually got a little bit loose up there on the top side. A little bit of side-by-side battle back here behind Daniel Monix as Kevin West and C.J. Gates. Gates is coming in a hurry back here, starting in the 9th spot. He's already slid his way right past Kevin West and jumped up into the top 5. He's going to set his sights on Daniel Monix, but Wilkin is just hammering away. No, that's Joyner. Joyner is just hammering away at Ziegler. Joyner wants to lead it here at Indy.
00 got that position back from Trenton Wilkin. It was short-lived for 2nd spot. Wilkin held it for about a lap. Now the 00 going to work. The top 3 still have not left each other's bumpers. I'm shuffling for position again. It looks like the 14 of Gates is going to try to look to the inside of Monix briefly.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one thing right here that you're going to see a lot of guys try to use that short advantage. We got a battle for the lead. Joyner down on the bottom, Ziegler up top. Joyner gets loose off a 2. 00 almost went from the spin cycle right there. Had to get out of the gas, and that may end up letting Wilkin get a little bit of a slingshot, try to draft and maybe get by. Wilkin thinks different of it, backs away. But Joyner was right there. He had a shot right there at Ziegler. He just got a little bit loose off a 2, and there was no way for him to try to get around.
And you have to wonder, are these top 3 overdriving their stuff? It's so easy to get focused on the cars around you and not race the racetrack. Of course, we're only 5 laps complete when they cross the line here. Still plenty of running left to do. And if you're going to make it to lap 30, 31 to make this pit stop, how much do you fall off here in the later run?
Well, I mean, I've been looking at these guys' race times. Basically, I've been watching a lot of them in practice. As you see, C.J. Gates trying to take another shot right here, and Daniel Monix not able to do it. Joyner up here trying to see if he can run Ziegler. Honestly, Bradley, what I'm thinking, I see everybody's lap times, basically what they was running in practice. Guys were running 53.0s to 53.4s, give or take. So this is normal what they're running right now at a 53.5. I expect them to fall off about a 2nd to a 1.5 seconds. If you end up dropping down and say the 55s, then you're going to be way off the pace from where you need to be.
Eddie Solly goes up the racetrack a little bit there. Familiar name for me here on Vspeed. Remember that name back from BSRL, I believe. So, good to see Randy out here on the racetrack, but struggling a little bit back here in 15th spot. Brent Allen contact! And cars are going around. That's the 83 of Terciano. Caution is out.
Wow, that got stacked up big time right there. Awesome to catch that right there, Bradley, on how all that ended up taking place. And, I mean, I think it was just somebody trying to dive in and maybe saw a hole that wasn't there, and it was Brent Allen. You're going to see a hell of a replay right here when this ends up happening right here. It all basically started right there on the front stretch. And, I mean, Allen actually had a run, which actually I think he actually missed the brakes when he went into the corner. If we can back it up before they went to the start and finish line, now now you're going to see it. There you see McMurtry. He's trying to get around Galen. Galen lets him go. Allen just straight up sends it down on the bottom. Wasn't able to get it straight. He gets into Wunsch, and then Wunsch just trying to see if he can get it correct. He just gets into Terciano and turns him around. But check this out, folks. I mean, this is full sin mode right here. Galen Wunsch had no idea that Allen was going to come down right there. And Allen, he was full damn send right there going into turn 1. And unfortunately, 2 stories did not meet up the way that it needed to. And unfortunately, Joseph Terciano, an innocent bystander, he's the one that ends up going around.
Yeah, and it just looked like the 199 of Wunsch had lifted to let by for the 48 of McMurtry, but it was a little bit surprising to Brent Allen that was that sudden. It was right at the entrance of the turn, and kind of hard to react to that. I did a good job of avoiding it, but I don't think he was intentionally sending it into turn 1 that way, because you and I both know that if you send it in that deep, that fast, you're probably not going to make it out the other side.
Well, I mean, from what I was seeing right there, I mean, Allen actually sent it so much, really, Bradley, that he damn near ended up hitting the 48 of McMurtry. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a good enough gap right there that he sent it in there and tried to see if he could fill that hole before it ended up getting closed up. As you see, a lot of drivers obviously going to go down, take some pit stops. Couple of drivers ended up staying out right there. Believe that may have been Caleb Nelson. No, it was not. One driver stayed out, and that's Dirt Likes that stays out on the racetrack. Going to be interesting to see how this ends up playing out for the 22. Obviously, 4 sets of tires. That's 3 in the pits, 1 on the car. So a lot of guys electing to go ahead and burn their first set of tires right here.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em here, as we're just about a sixth of the way through this race. We'll take the green flag back on lap 11. 4 tires and fuel. Looks like maybe a couple 2-tire stops here. The one of Kevin West is going to be the first one out of pit road, so he'll get about 3 positions after that. Jared Ziegler coming out just behind him. Ronnie Joyner, of course, the guys that were battling for that first spot will go 3rd through 5th. Then it's Daniel Molnick, CJ Gates, and Morgan Cook. So a few of these guys losing positions, but I think with Dirt Likes staying out, the 22 probably going to fall off here. We're talking about, based off their best lap time to last lap time, about 0.3 of a second fall off.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm actually kind of curious as to why Dirt Likes in that 22 decided to stay out on the racetrack, because, I mean, literally the whole field went down, all 24 of them, because Chris Nail has elected to not actually start, so he's not even in the session. But 24 of them all the way back to Clay Nelson. Each and every one of them, out of 24 cars, 23 of them decided to go down. Dirt Likes was the only one to stay out. So I'm kind of curious, you know, that's kind of running through my head as to why he ended up staying out on the racetrack. But, I mean, maybe he's saving a set. Maybe he is. Maybe, you know, maybe he knows something that we don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but obviously he's on old tires. You got Kevin West up here. He's going to be on 2 tires, and then you got a bunch of guys right behind him that's more or less on 4 freshies. So this is going to be a very, very interesting restart right here, to say the least, Brandon.
Very interesting racetrack to go along with that. And these corners very flat, so of course tires are going to be very important. It's all mechanical grip here, especially in this B car. Dirty air is going to be a factor. Maybe the 22 felt that and wanted to get up front, try his hand with the handling that this car has in clean air. I mean, some guys do things a little unorthodox and it ends up paying off. We'll have to see what Dirt Likes has for him up front on this next restart. Double back up. Pace Truck's going to take him around this 2.5-mile oval. We'll try to get him back green for the second time today. And Jacob, I know that we've seen a lot of guys try their hand, but as of late, the 57 has just been phenomenal. He got that victory at Sonoma, then turned around and got another one at Darlington. He's been fast, and I think he's given Ronnie and Daniel a little run for their money here just before we hit chase time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, Bradley, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Jared Ziegler's very first race was at Sonoma when he won that race. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% on that, but I mean, that's still.
At Charlotte. I think he was at Charlotte.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, so that might have been his first race, and then he went to Sonoma and won that. So, I mean, I'm telling you right now, I mean, that 57's lights out. Obviously, I got a near and dear place in my heart for the number 57. Not for Ziegler, but, and nothing against Jared, it's just the number 57. I run in a lot in league races and official races and everything else. But I'm telling you right now, he's been lighting them up, and it's like you said, Ronnie Joyner and all of them, they got to be freaking out just a little bit. Is we got a green flag. Wow, they look like it may have just jumped the hell out of that restart. Dirt Likes is gone going into turn 1.
Rule is, Pace Truck is off, all 4 tires on pit road, so once it's clear, you're good to go at the leader's discretion, and he pulls out 0.6 of a second. He has the 2 tires of Kevin West behind him, trying to hold off Jared Ziegler for 3rd.
Yeah, Ziegler obviously got the pole, been very, very fast here at Indy. Right behind him, you got Ronnie Joyner back here. He's trying to see if he maybe can poke out, maybe take a shot. But, I mean, Dirt Likes, obviously, I mean, there's no restart zone here with the legacy version of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So if there ain't no restart zone, hell with it. Just send it and go when you can and try to be able to get an advantage over everybody else on the field. That's exactly what he did. But now, here comes Ziegler. He's going to take a shot. He's going to try to go around Kevin West as they hit the line going into turn 1. Ziegler side by side with West. West is going to let him have it. So Ziegler goes to second.
That opens up the door for Ronnie Joyner to pick up a position as well. He backs it up a little bit here for a good exit off of turn 2. Looks like he's going to have the advantage going down the backstretch.
Joyner getting a pretty good run, tried to get some draft, showing that he wants the inside lane. We'll see if Kevin West is going to oblige just like he did with Jared Ziegler. He's not going to oblige. Actually, it looks like he's going to try to race him there for just a little bit. Didn't really do to Joyner what Ziegler did to him. A couple of them actually bouncing off of the wall back there in the back. That's the 51 of Morgan Cook. Cook still trying to work over CJ Gates. Gates chops his nose coming off of 4. Morgan Cook for Team Vspeed. Now he's going to give him a little bit of a buck draft going across the line as they go into turn 1 and battle for the lead. Ziegler goes to the front here at Indy.
And Dirk Likes, who pulled out there pretty far ahead of this. It was just kind of inevitable that the speed from those 4 fresh tires was going to catch back up to him, but we were watching back there with Morgan Cook on board. He had a little clip with the wall there, racing with CJ Gates. He's falling back to 8th. Dirk Likes is falling down to 3rd spot now. So I think now that it's just a matter of the attrition of these tires, you're starting to see that fall off.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to really see it, even with the 2 tires stop that Kevin West was able to get. Obviously, got 2 right side tires better than Dirk Likes has right here. But even Kevin West on those 2 tires, he's still going to have Hornicks right behind him. He's got Wilkin, and then he's got CJ Gates, who has Morgan Cook all up in his back bumper. So a lot of guys on some different strategies. Going to get interested to see how this is all going to end up playing out. A couple of drivers blinking down there. I believe that might have been Wilkin. Wilkin, yes, in the 12, tries to get down on the inside of Hornicks, not able to get the run. Hornicks gets the run off of the top side, and now he's going to try to use that run, try to get a draft, maybe try to get a shot right here with Kevin West. Thinks different of it. And Bradley, that's one thing here about Indy. You can get runs off of the corner if you're up on the top side, if you do it right. But at the same time, this track not necessarily a double or a 2-lane racetrack. It's really all about being on the bottom, really.
Yeah, if you can hit that apex just right. Some of these guys will actually clip those rumble strips to help this car rotate. You have to be careful not to overdo it because it will upset this machine and send it to the outside wall. Still holding his own, though. Kevin West on the outside here. He has CJ Gates on the back bumper and Wilkin trying to get clear as they come out of turn 2. Morgan Cook loses another position back to 9th. Caleb Nelson gets around in the 07. That's a name we haven't mentioned yet today. And the 07 started back in 11th. He's up 3 spots now.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a fantastic job sliding up through the field, got himself up inside the top 10. Another driver that we really haven't talked a lot about, the 15, Ethan Wisnowski. He started this race in the 20th spot, and he's worked his way all the way up to 12th. Right behind him, matter of fact, Austin Dowdy in the number 8. Started 18th. He's all the way up to 13th. So we got some guys that's making some big moves here in the field. And mind you on this one, Bradley, those guys, they took 4 tires just like everybody else. So basically what these guys is really doing, they're basically getting all these the hard way. They didn't necessarily get them on pit road. Wisnowski and Dowdy, they're doing it the hard way, trying to get it all right here on the racetrack.
We just appreciate this paint scheme for a moment. I've never seen anything like it, and I mean, he's driving a crock.
Literally, folks, we're not trying to make a joke about that one. The damn car really looks like a crock. I mean, a crock shoe, honestly. That is awesome right there. I mean, you know, Bradley, I talked about it last week at Darlington. Obviously, a lot of drivers ran some throwback paint schemes. That's one thing I really love about iRacing, especially with drivers, is you actually see Kevin West going to go around Dirk Likes now and jump him up a spot. He's actually going to go up to 6. But back to the pace scheme deal. Hold up. May want to hold up on that pace scheme battle for the lead. Joyner, Ziegler, Joyner almost tags Ziegler in the back end and almost gets him around. Got a little bit tied over there off of turn 2. And now, Caleb Nelson, you talked about him a second ago in that 0-7. Gonna try to see if he can jump around the, I guess you could say, off the pace, if you want to put it that way, of Dirt Likes. And now Morgan Cook, everybody gonna see if they can freight train the 22 of Dirt Likes.
Oh, a little contact there with the 51 and the 22. Down to the bottom of 3 and 4. Likes just trying to hold on to this top 10, but those tires have fallen off, and now everyone starts a draft train. Trouble in the back.
And a big crash back there. Frank Walsh is going to get involved, as well as Clay Nelson in the 10. Somebody actually got some serious hang time. I think they may have ended up hitting the barrels right there going into the pits. A couple of other drivers got a little bit collected in that one as well. Big crash. And Clay Nelson parked on the front stretch. Check it out on the instant replay.
Looks like this starts up here with the 60 machine of Mike Petrin. He was sideways as well, but I think he recovered it. He will have some damage, but then it's Frank Walsh heavy. There's the 33 gets into him there.
Wow, that is a violent crash right there. Honestly, I thought somebody may have ended up going into those barrels, but that wasn't the case. Actually, it was Markheim that actually tried to go around the outside and actually tag Petrie. And then Frank Walsh just comes flying in there and he just nails Markheim. And Clay Nelson, just an innocent bystander. I mean, you know, this is racing. I mean, this is just how it is right here. I mean, Markheim sees the checkup. Petrie had to check up right there. I mean, I can't really sit there and see that the 60 actually, wow, what a hit Markheim got. But, I mean, I can't really sit there and say that the 60 came up as much as, say, the 33 Markheim came down. It looked like they just kind of just, somehow or another, they just kind of just touched, really, Bradley. I didn't really see anybody really make anything egregious, I guess. But just very unfortunate for all 4 of those drivers getting involved, especially with one of them actually backing out, that being Vernon Morkheim.
Markheim out. Galen Wunsch is out of this race as well. Mike Petrin, heavy damage. Frank Walsh, Clay Nelson, all involved. So 5 cars heavily damaged because of this. And actually, Galen had problems earlier in this race with the 13, so he's out because of that incident. But this brings out another yellow, and I think we're pretty much guaranteed one stop at this point. I was a little skeptical that guys that were up front for a lot of this race could make it to the halfway mark. But now, if you've got a couple of drivers faking it here, but it looks like West, who took 2 tires on the last stop, decided, there's the 22 of Likes, these guys have decided that enough's enough here with losing positions. They're going to come down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually saw Brent Allen right there in the background. Actually looked like he went around the yellow cone, folks. Those 2 yellow cones that you see way back there at the entrance of pit road, you got to be able to go right between both of them. And what Brent actually did was he faked out and then he tried to jump back in there. And what he really what he ended up doing was he ended up going around the cones and then ended up shooting between the cones and the pit wall. You'll see it right here. Allen committed. Well, maybe not. Hell, I thought he actually went around him there for a second, but he did go down. And then actually what he was probably thinking was, okay, maybe I should go ahead and, I mean, he was probably thinking that he wanted to go, and then he ended up didn't want to go. But from what it looked like, I thought he went around the cone, honestly, Bradley. So that's my mistake on that one. But Allen going in, obviously we knew Dirt Likes was going to go in. I had a feeling Kevin West would go in, taking those 2 tires. So obviously Dirt Likes. Now this strategy may work out for that 22 because even him and Kevin West, all these guys, they're going to have way better tires than, say, these leaders, Ziegler, Joyner, Monix, Wilkin, and Gates up here at the front.
So here we set for our third restart of the day. 2 cautions here, and the weather up on your screen, 98 degrees. That track temperatures came down tremendously from what we saw in qualifying and in practice. It was well up into the 100s. We had a 110 degrees to start the practice here today, and that temperature has come down quite a bit here. I think that'll help some of these guys that were struggling. We talked to some guys pre-race, and I believe it was the Austin Dowdy that mentioned that he wasn't able to run the times that he was consistent, and the car didn't feel quite the same in that practice session.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, Bradley, that's very, very unique, I guess you could say, as far as from iRacing to console racing. You know, guys, basically everybody, there's not a lot of people that really got their start on iRacing. More or less, I got my start on, say, the NASCAR Heat games and all that other stuff on consoles, on PlayStations and Xbox and all that other stuff. So that's the difference between iRacing and console games. Is iRacing has generated weather, which is basically.
I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops.
And you never really know what's going to happen on that weather. I mean, you can go in there in a certain practice session, and you may be sitting there with a very, very cool track. Then again, you may go into a next session, and then the track temp may be all the way through the damn roof, and it may end up being like 120 degrees. So you never really know what you're going to end up getting when you log into the server, because I mean, that's the first thing that I always look at when I log into the server. What's the track temp? What's the air temp? What am I going to be dealing with as far as the weather? Because that's one thing you cannot change. Only iRacing will generate how that will change throughout the race.
I want to apologize. I was making a fix to a graphic that I had earlier. That's why I went a little silent there, and then I pressed the wrong button. So a little hotkey action for that QSR intro, but we're back here. And officially, we didn't miss much. We missed about 200 feet of pacing. I don't think anyone at home is really upset that we missed that. But we will not miss the green flag here as we go back live for the 3rd time today. Live from Indy, Jared Ziegler, who started on the pole, back on the loud pedal into turn 1.
And started second was Ronnie Joyner to his outside, and that's exactly where he started. Monix actually up 2 spots. Now he's going to be up 3. Joyner's going to let him have it. Wilkin right behind him. He's in a battle with C.J. Gates. Good run for the 14 up here, and that being C.J. Gates has to actually get out of the gas. Wilkin jumped down and filled the hole, and then right behind him, 07 Caleb Nelson. You talked about him a while ago. Marshall Newton up here in the 76. He's going to try to get back his spot from where he restarted. Restarted in the 7th spot. Cook had it. Now Cook up on the top side. He's going to try to jump down in behind Marshall Newton. Or maybe yet, he may end up trying to see if he can battle hard on this outside. Maybe try to make it work. The truck car back there, Wisnowski, getting a little battling with the Clemson colors. Brett Allen back here in the back. This is the battle to try to get inside the top. Crazy battles going on right here, Bradley, all over the place. That's one thing about Indy. They always produce some fantastic restarts. We do see a battle up at the front. Monix going for the lead on Jared Ziegler.
Monix to the inside, they make contact. He touched him out of turn 2, and now he's going to lose a spot. The 2 car a little tight on the exit. He loses 2 positions.
Yeah.
Now Joyner on the inside.
Yeah, Joyner's going to get it down.
Contact again.
Ziegler pinches him down on the bottom of the racetrack. Ziegler had none of that, and now Wilkin thought about it. He wanted to go down to the inside. Monix going to tag Wilkin into the back end, almost sends him around. Jared Ziegler wants this win bad, and obviously Monix got into the back of him. No harm, no foul. I don't believe that was intentional. As far as Ziegler and Joyner goes, I'm not real sure on that one. It looked like Ziegler may have tried to pinch him down on the bottom of the racetrack. If Joyner gets back to him, he might not be so friendly here at Indy.
One thing I can say is that you see these guys outside the top 10 just work their way into the top 10. They are on 4 fresh tires compared to the rest of these guys up front. So I think it's just a matter of time before Kevin West, Brent Allen work their way up into the top 5, because we're talking about a good 10 laps in difference in tires.
Yeah, and another driver that is in that conversation as far as those 4 fresh tires, obviously, is Dirk Laxton at 22. Obviously, we saw him stay out on a previous restart. Actually, the restart before this one, he ended up starting in the first spot, obviously, because why? The other 23 drivers went down pit road. He was the only one that ended up staying out on the racetrack. Now he's on the offense. He's on those 4 fresh tires. He wants to get up here and have a shot, try to get up here and run with some of these leaders. So mixed bag, as you were talking about, is Jordan showing a lot of displeasure right now to Ziegler. Give him a tag going into turn 2 right there. No love lost between the 57 and double zeros. Jordan remembers about the little bit of door banging between him and Ziegler. Jordan wants to try to get this lead, and he wants to get it now.
Nobody has been able to really complete a pass around the 57, and that defensive line there on the outside pinching down. He's going to give him another tap into 4. Sends him up the racetrack just a little bit, but now Ziegler uses that clean air to pull away about a 10.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, I mean, that's racing right there, obviously. I mean, it's basically what I thought really what happened was Ziegler coming down and trying to pinch him down, and they ended up making contact right behind him. Wilkin, and check that out right there. That's some bump drafting for you coming out of turn 2. Molnix and Wilkin. Molnix wanting to try to get back up here, maybe help his teammate Jordan out. Wilkin may actually pull down to the bottom of the racetrack. Let Molnix go, and up front, Jordan has got to the inside. A little bit of door banging between the 57 double zero. Wow, Jordan gets into Ziegler, sends him up into the wall.
And 3 wide here off the corner. Morgan Cook there in the middle, but the leader back to 10.
Wow, what a turn of events right there for Jared Ziegler in the 57. Goes all the way. We'll check it out right here on the instant replay. I think Jordan tried to side draft him, but obviously, I talked about it. When Ziegler came down and then pinched him down, Jordan is one of those guys you really don't want to screw with here in the QSR Xfinity Series. I mean, I think he was trying to side draft him. You look at it however you want, but obviously I do think that Jordan may have hung a little bit of a right there and maybe got into him a little bit and set him up the racetrack. Obviously there you see the contact. Yeah, Jordan, I mean, he did turn right just a little bit and got into Ziegler, but I mean, hey, Ziegler got into his door. They door banged, and then it ended up sending Jordan back, and then he had to fight his way back to get back up here to Ziegler. I mean, there you see the contact on all that. I mean, he just pinched him up there as we got a caution on the speedway. It's Jared Ziegler.
Ziegler heavily damaged. Austin Dowdy done for the day as well. This happening on lap 27.
Wow, and then Dowdy, he just takes a hard impact into the outside retaining wall. There was a car that was actually spinning before they even got to him. You'll see right here, Ziegler and Dowdy, they come off. There you see the smoke from the car that actually got around as well. And then Ziegler, I mean, hell, he just comes down on the right rear and just hooks Dowdy straight into the fence. We're actually trying to get confirmation on the driver that was going around in front of him, that being the 48 of Derek McMurtry. So, wow, I mean, just so much just happened right here in the span of, what, about 4 laps, Bradley? I got a feeling right now we got some beef out here at Indy.
A little bit of contact there between the, what's labeled as the double zero, it's a 69 Randy Swale, and then there was Ziegler and Dowdy who got into each other as well. And I want to go back here on one more angle because it just looked like the 57 chopped the nose of the 8 after that contact.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it was right there. I mean, the 57 tried to jump down right there, and then Bradley, I don't know on that one right there. I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously he jumped down and chopped the nose, tried to jump down in line, and then maybe Dowdy just didn't let him have it. And then there you see the contact. You can already see the camera moving right there with Ziegler. So maybe Ziegler thought that maybe Dowdy would actually let him down the racetrack, and then at that point he didn't let him, and then maybe Ziegler right rear hooked him. But I mean, I don't want to call it what I think it is on that, because obviously you don't want to sit there and say, well, somebody intentionally dumped somebody. But at that point right there, you right rear hook somebody, that's bad. I mean, that does, I mean, I'm not sitting there saying that it was intentional what he did, but it's not a good look when you get into somebody's right rear, because at that point, the guy that's on the bottoms, I mean, honestly, Bradley, is really helpless. because he's got nowhere else to go now. If he slides up into him, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, Ziegler kind of had him tight right there. I've got a feeling both of them's going to have some different opinions on exactly what happened right there.
Staying out on the racetrack, the 13 of Brent Allen is going to stay out and get a lap led. He started back in 13th position. He is now up 12, and he'll be your leader. But I think this is another one of those, well, we're on 9 laps on this stint. It's going to be more of a Kevin West and the 22 of Dirk Likes, where it's going to be a tall order to keep this car up in this first spot.
Yeah, it's going to be really, I mean, like you said, a tall order to try to be able to pull it off because, I mean, we already saw, you know, like you mentioned, Dirt Likes, how that all ended up playing out. Granted, yeah, you lead some laps. You do a great job. Brad Allen, if he's learned anything out of all of this, it's when that pace car pulls off, stand on the gas and go and try to get away from these guys as fast as you possibly can. Because in the end, the 00, the 2, the 12, Joyner, Monix, Wilkin, Nelson, even Kevin West, all these guys, they are going to eat him alive eventually. So, I mean, tire wear is critical. Tires is real critical here. Obviously, we talked about the dirty air and all that crazy stuff as well. It's going to be a tall order. I mean, hopefully Brad Allen can keep it up there. But like you talked about, Bradley, everybody's got their own agenda. Everybody's got their own strategy.
So just at the halfway point here at Indianapolis, should be a close call here on fuel if they can make it to the end. I'm thinking here on the double up that some of these guys are probably on the clutch, shutting these engines off, going to try to make it all the way. I think they're right on the edge of it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And obviously, Bradley, I mean, me and you, we've watched numerous races over the course of our years, that being virtual or real racing. One thing comes to mind, you think about this 2.5-mile racetrack, obviously Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We talked about Pocono, the sister track to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We talked about that. Think back to a couple of years ago, matter of fact, around 10 years ago, give or take, when it was a big old fuel mileage race out there. Well, Matt Kenseth ended up winning out there at Pocono. Obviously, this track, Pocono's got 3 turns. This one's got 4 distinct corners. Different racetracks, but the same deal can happen here at Indy if the sucker goes green. That's a big if.
That's a big if.
It ends up going green, but we could see some fuel strategy come into play when this thing's all said and done if it goes green.
Well, let's go ahead and take it to that halfway mark here on Vspeed like we normally do for this restart. We're going to take it on board with Brent Allen. This is a great time for you to find that volume button on your smart device or find that remote control wherever your kids hit it. Let's turn it up. Bring some noise here on Vspeed for restart number 3 of the day. Well, he held on to it for quite some time, but Allen not able to hold on to it for more than 2 laps. He'll fall back to 3rd position as Kevin West gets around, and we go back to that little bit of beef that we had, and West didn't get the finish at Bristol that he wanted to do the All-Star event, but here he is back on the points day, leading this thing on lap 33.
Yeah, I mean, and right behind him, obviously, you bring up the All-Star race, the All-Star winner right behind him, Ronnie Joyner in the 00. Both of them able to get around Brett Allen. Now, right behind him, Caleb Nelson has overtook Joseph Terciano. So now Nelson up to 4th and looking for 3rd right now. How about the drive right now by Caleb Nelson? You talked about him. Honestly, Bradley, you talked about him. We haven't talked a lot about Caleb Nelson. Apparently, he's been listening here on YouTube, right here on Vspeed Racing Network. He's heard us talk about it. Hey, you ain't been talking about me. Well, guess what? Now we're talking about you, baby, up there in P3 as he works his way around Brent Allen.
A little bit of contact back there. CJ Gates got to the inside. I believe that was the 2 of Daniel Moldex. They used each other up into the entry of 1. The 14 benefited from that, gets up to 6. Now peeking to the outside, trying to get around Joseph Terciano from the top 5.
Gates trying to see if he can muster something up and get it going. Slide himself into P5, and that's exactly what he's going to end up doing. He may end up going for 4th. Brent Allen up here trying to hold it down, maybe trying to hold on to 4th. Terciano's going to slip back. Molnick's going to go by. Wilkins going to go by. Marshall Newton not too far back as well. Now, Terciano is in a serious hole. We do have maybe a battle for the lead. Joyner has the nose down on the inside of Kevin West, but West is going to get the run coming off of the corner. Joyner showing the nose. Now West, he slides up door to door, wheel to wheel, coming off of turn 2. West and Joyner here at Indy.
And outside, just enough of a run there for the 1 of West. He's going to break the draft. He'll give the inside again here into 3. 00 much faster with that draft, but he's going to have to back that corner up. And we didn't talk much about that, but that's the effect of the draft at this racetrack. It's such a long straightaway. You're probably going 2 or 3 miles per hour faster, and you have dirty air in front of you, so Joyner has to lift a lot earlier than West does to get into these corners.
Yeah, I mean, and Bradley, you know, we've talked about it on this broadcast before about how these cars, very, I guess you could say difficult to drive. One of the more harder race cars to drive here on the iRacing service as far as oval racing. So you just throw all the dirty air, the draft, the long straightaways, all that. Whoa, Wilkin almost getting into it right there. Almost got turned right there by Dirt Likes. Likes had to get out of the gas, so he didn't end up turning him around. But back up front to Joyner and West, I mean, that's what you're going to have to do, is you're going to have some serious experience as far as drafting and all that good stuff. That's exactly what Joyner's going to end up having to do right here. Lift out of the gas going in early. Either that, or he's going to have to try to maybe get that slingshot and get the draft before they get into the corner. That way, he doesn't have to worry about having to try to lift early. He can just go ahead and just fight him hard on the inside.
12 of Wilkins still trying to get around the older tires of Brent Allen. This is for 6th spot. Wilkin finally gets the nose here into 1. He'll bring Dirk Likes just behind him as he opens up the door out of 2. And maybe some more contact there. The 13 still trying to hold suit. I think way up the racetrack here, a little late on the brakes, but he'll stay off the wall. But quite a few guys getting around this 13 is what we saw with the 22 of Likes earlier in this race.
Yeah, ironically, I mean, we talk about Dirt Likes. I mean, being in that same situation, ironically, Dirt Likes ends up going around Brett Allen. I mean, honestly, the exact same way. Nacy Marshall Newton, obviously, he's already smelling blood in the water. He wants to try to get up here and get around Brett Allen. And honestly, they need to get around Brett Allen. Him, Morgan Cook right behind him, as well as Terciano, who's a good bit back. But really, Newton and Cook, they need to figure out a way to get around Brett Allen very fast right now, because what is happening is there you actually see Cook and Newton able to get around Cook, or Allen rather. So, I mean, honestly, what he was, I mean, nothing against Allen, but he's on the older tires. He's a rolling roadblock is what he is, and he's just holding those guys up, Newton and Cook, from trying to be able to stay with Dirt Lights, because we talked about it. The draft, all that good stuff. want to be able to try to make sure you got draft on the guy in front of you. That way you can at least stay pace with him.
The top two have pulled out 1.7 seconds over Caleb Nelson in the third position. DJ Gates up into the top 5. He's running in fourth, trying to chase down the 07. The racing up front is fast, but for how long? These guys probably going to get reeled back in by the likes of Molnix and Gates. They've shown that they're backing it up a little bit here, and from third on back, it's a little bit different on the lap times. 5/10 of a second for some of these guys off the pace.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys obviously just trying to survive. Those guys that you're talking about, 5/10 off the pace, give or take. You know, these guys up front, obviously, you got the trailer park dude on TikTok, Kevin West up here, trying to win him another one. Matter of fact, I think that would be his third win if he was to win here at Indy. His third win of the season. Try to get it done here tonight. And then right behind him, you got the second place guy in the point standings, running in second, that being Ronnie Joyner. Both these guys basically putting on a clinic, putting on a show up here. I mean, this is a hell of a fight right here. Basically, you're looking at 21 laps to go. They just hit the line, so 21 laps to go. We talked about fuel. I mean, there's so much stuff going on right here as far as strategy, tires, gas, the whole 9 yards. And not to mention these guys up here putting down some seriously fast lap times with some of these other guys back there just trying to save their stuff and maybe have a shot at these guys later on in this run.
Daniel Molnix gets around for the fourth position. CJ Gates makes a little mistake there in the entry of 1, allows the 2-car by. Daniel going to try to catch up now to Caleb Nelson. Ronnie Joyner, again, these guys 2 seconds ahead. It is another time zone, but Kevin West is starting to pull away.
Yeah, Kevin West really starting to flex some muscle, obviously started in the 4th spot. Matter of fact, right behind Ronnie Joyner. Joyner started 2nd. Kevin West started 4th at the initial start of the race. And both of these guys really been around each other literally all race long. So why not? Why not have them both fighting it out for the win? And obviously Molnix sitting back here, he's actually getting a run right now on Caleb Nelson. May end up seeing Molnix end up having a shot. Sliding back, we was looking at CJ Gates and Wilkin. But there you see Caleb Nelson. Molnix trying to use all the draft. How about that right there? Son, that's how you break the draft. Go all the way down to the grass if you have to. That's exactly what West is doing. He's trying to break the air, trying to break that draft as much as he can from Joyner. And hey, if you got to go all the way down to the grass, go for it. But at the same time, Joyner's going to follow you down there. But you got to make sure that you get back up in time to be able to make the corner, because you can't enter down there on the grass going into the corner. But you can go wherever you got to go to try to break that draft.
Fastest car on the racetrack this time by is Trenton Wilkin with a 52.716. He is a little bit faster than your leader, Kevin West, but he is stuck back here in the 6th position. He'll have to work around CJ Gates. Molnix has caught up to the 3rd spot, but now dirty air becoming a factor. You see the two a little bit tight there off the exit of turn 2. Looks like the top 5 are starting to accordion back together just a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, you can look at 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way back. I mean, that's what you're really looking at as far as everybody really closing up. Like we mentioned, Kevin West, Ronnie Joyner, they're literally in their own damn zip code at this point. But 3rd and 4th, 5th, all this right here culminating to who's going to be the last guy on the podium way back there in the back. And now Molnix tries to see if he maybe can get a run on Nelson. Not going to be able to get this inside. Almost tagged him in the back end going into turn 1. Molnix had to get way out of the gas. He almost ended up tagging him. But obviously, now Nelson knows Molnix and that black number 2 Miller High Life. He knows that he's back there at this point.
Yeah, he's got a mirror full of them here as they come off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. The gap for the lead, 2.6 seconds over 3rd position. A few different drivers have shuffled around this field quite a few times today. Trenton Wilkin was up in the top 3 to start this race. He finds himself outside the top 5. CJ Gates, who started back in the 9th position up to 5th. It's good to see Gates having a good race here. He struggled a little bit there at Darlington and had, I believe, a DNF there, or a very beat-up car at the very least. And one of those tracks that's easy to overdrive, and if you struggle with having yourself in discipline and keeping your tires on it, Darlington was not kind to these guys.
No, I mean, it really wasn't. And, you know, another driver that I can think of that Darlington was not kind to was Ronnie Joyner, who's actually sitting in the second spot right now racing against Kevin West. Think about that. We talked about it. Ronnie Joyner, very, very fast on the short runs last week at Darlington. But unfortunately, it ended up costing him with that long green flag run right there at the end. It ended up costing him, and he ended up finishing outside of the top 5. Guess what, folks? Same thing here at Indy. Got to be careful with the tires. Obviously, we talked about it. 9 degrees of banking in the corners, flat on the front and back stretch. Not a lot of banking to be able to use a whole lot of speed, especially when you're going 190 plus going down these straightaways. You got to try to get that car woed up as much as you possibly can, because the banking can't save you here. I mean, this is about as flat as it gets, to be honest with you.
Monex gets around for the 3rd position, but now has over 2.5 seconds to get up there to Ronnie Joyner and Kevin West, and not a lot of time left to do it, as it'll be 15 to go when they cross the stripe this time by. Some drivers that are outside the top 10, well, I think Brent Allen probably regretting not taking tires on that last caution. He has fallen out back to 11th. Randy Sully in 12th position. Some of these guys still up spots. You look at Ryan Commons. He's up 8 positions from where he began this race, and he's in a battle here with Mike Petrin, who's being scored 11 laps down. Commons the last car on the lead lap, but you know, some of these guys came down pit road or have been stuck down pit road from damage, and so they'll have much fresher tires. Nothing really to worry about here for Commons, as he has about 7 seconds to Shane Ferguson. Ethan Wisnowski in the Crocs machine and 15, sitting in 14th position. So this field very spread out here in the later stages.
Absolutely. I mean, Bradley, I was talking about this a while ago. I talked about it last week at Darlington, obviously, when we were talking about Wisnowski having literally his car look like a shoe. Folks, I'm not making that up. I mean, it really does look like a shoe. There, you see it right there. It looks like a damn croc. But that's what I was talking about last week. Same thing here, you know, with this right here. I mean, it's awesome to see drivers be able to express their personality any way, shape, fit, you know, however you want to look at it, or just try to be funny. I mean, just, you know, try to be funny as far as like Wisnowski's doing right there. Just to have a cool paint scheme, you know, just to be able to try to make, you know, somebody laugh or something like that. It's awesome to see all that cool stuff there you see right there with the 48. Pretty cool looking paint scheme right there that Derek McMurtry's got. That's one thing I really love, Bradley, when we come in here and we call races, not only for QSR, but for other races. I mean, the paint schemes that you see each and every week, I mean, they are awesome. You got some serious painters out there. Look at that right there. Shaggy right there on the side of the 14. Awesome to see it. I mean, just these paint schemes. I mean, I love seeing these paint schemes each and every time we log into the service.
Well, I can tell you what Kevin West loves to see. There's nothing in front of him, and he is leading this race with about 12 to go. And he is pulling away from Ronnie Joyner. He has got the lead stretched out now to just over a second as they go through turns 1 and 2. Joyner and Monex actually accordioning back together a little bit. That gap about 1.7 seconds. So the 00 kind of on that same thing he had happening to him at Darlington. Fast on the short run, but kind of losing that top end towards the end of this run. And we still have 12 to go when they cross the stripe. If you're Ronnie Joyner right now, you might be thinking, well, maybe third.
Nah, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, honestly, I think what Joyner may be thinking is, bad as I gotta say it, somebody wrecked. I mean, obviously, you don't want somebody to end up screwing their day somehow, some way. But I mean, he's thinking of anything to probably end up getting a caution. We see this battle back here with CJ Gates back here with Trip Wilkin, Dirk Likes, Marshall Newton, all these guys back here battling right now for that top 5 spot. There's a possibility that a caution could come out of this area right here, just as hard as some of these guys are battling. As a matter of fact, Dirk Likes almost gets up into Marshall Newton. Newton able to get the run on the top side, so kick Dirk Likes back to the 8th spot. Newton will go up to 2nd. But honestly, I mean, back to Joyner, I think that's what Joyner is waiting for right now. I think he's wanting maybe a caution come out somehow, some way to be able to try to help himself get back into this fight for this win.
Now that gap between 2nd and 3rd down to just 1 second as they go down the front straightaway. Molnix is catching up to Ronnie Joyner this time by. Joyner runs a 55.181 to Molnix's 54.6, so there's about 0.5 of a second separate on this last lap time. Molnix has actually turned up the heat. He is faster than the leader. And there's a couple cars faster. Caleb Nelson last time by a 54.6. So I think Kevin West just kind of on cruise control. He's gauging his speed off of the car behind him. But he might want to turn it back up a little bit because Molnix and these guys are a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I mean, they still got a long way to go, obviously, coming around this time. 10 laps to go, folks. 10 laps on a 2.5-mile racetrack when you're running 54-second lap times. A lot can happen here at this racetrack. You talked about Molnix really reeling in Joyner. Obviously, Kevin West there, you see, he's actually starting to get ready to run into some lap traffic up here at the front. And make it interesting right here. Yeah, I mean that's bad to see. Well, if that's Brent Allen, you got Spencer Johnson, all these guys up here. You hate to really see it for Brent Allen because he tried to make a strategic call, maybe try to see if there was going to be a caution halfway through this run, and it just has not come out yet. So I know Joyner's praying for a caution. I know damn well Brent Allen's really praying for a caution at this point.
Yeah, he's got some right front damage on that 13 machine. The Clemson 13 has looked a little better here earlier in this race, but the right side pretty beat up. He needs a caution to get back into contention for this race. 1.9 seconds, and Molnix has caught Ronnie Joyner. He has about 0.3 as they come out of turn 4. Caleb Nelson is 1.4 back from this group, and then it's CJ Gates and a whole slew of cars have caught up to the top 5.
Yeah, Bradley, I mean, you talk about a slew of them down south. We call that a gaggle. Honestly, a car is exactly what we call that. You saw Newton try to take a shot down to the inside. Wilkins shut the door on him. Wilkins gets big time loose coming off of wood. Newton right in behind him. You got dirt likes. How about Morgan Cook? How about the 51 of Morgan Cook took a shot to the inside, but wasn't able to get the run coming off of the corner. Dirt likes able to get back by him. Morgan Cook having a very, very solid night here tonight, and Indy sitting comfortably right now in that 9th spot. Derek McMurtry not too far back, literally right behind him.
Contact!
Sitting in 10th, we may have a caution, and there it is. Marshall Newton.
Newton loops it around here with about 8 laps to go, and that bails out the 13 of Brent Allen. That bails out Ronnie Joyner. If you have an extra tire set, this is the time to use it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was just incidental contact of how that ended up playing out right there. And, I mean, wow. And Newton didn't hit a damn thing. He didn't hit nothing. All that he ended up getting hit right there was his pride and maybe a little bit of left rear from Wilkin. You check it out right on the instant replay. Wilkin, I mean, he just slides up and just gets into the left rear, spins Newton around. And caution on the speedway. Thankfully, everybody was able to avoid Marshall Newton spinning right there. You check it out one more time. Newton on the top, had a run, set it, trying to get the gates. And then, I think Wilkin just kind of loosens the nose off of his car and just slides up, gets into the back bumper of Marshall Newton, or really the left rear quarter panel of Marshall Newton, ends up sending him around. So that right there, Bradley, that changes everything right there.
Yeah, and that's going to set us up for about 4 or 5 laps to go when we take this restart. And again, this goes back to, remember the 22? He saved a set. I think a few of these guys still have a set down here in the pits, and you cannot afford to stay out.
Yeah, and it looks like everybody had enough sets of tires to be able to try to go down pit road right here. Looks like each and every one of them right here. And Brett Allen, obviously, he's going to be tickled to death. Obviously, he's going to take that option and try to go down pit road, or is he? Looks like he actually blew right by the pits. So, not really sure about that one, Brent.
I think he's on the strategy of he's out of tire sets, so he just has to run it out to the end.
Oh boy, that's gonna throw another monkey wrench in this bad boy right here, Bradley. Because if he's out of tire sets right here, and all these other guys right here, they're gonna take 4 tires. You just thought it was crazy when everybody ended up going around Dirk and Brent a while ago. Think about this right here, because he's on way older tires than each and every one of those guys that's coming off of pit road right there. Obviously, it looks like maybe Kevin West. No, Kevin West did not beat all these guys off of pit road, so Kevin West going to be mired back in traffic. It's going to get interesting right here. It's actually got Daniel Monix and Derek McMurtry. They're going to lead them off pit road.
Monix taking 2 tires. McMurtry also on 2 tires. 9.2 and 9.7 in the box, and I'm curious what happened to some of these other guys. Morgan Cook actually lost about 7 spots here on pit road. He's back to 12th. Randy Saleh, Dirk Likes get around him. Quite a few guys having problems, but then you have Quentin Wilkin, who picks up some positions. He's up to 5th now. Kevin West, who took 4 tires. I don't know if there's enough time. I think you can play enough defense. If you're Molnix and McMurtry, I think you're in a good spot right now with 2.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that they are at this point. And I went back and looked at Morgan Cook. I mean, he just slid through his box. He slid through it just a little bit, had to back up to get where the pit board was. And then, unfortunately, he ended up losing a couple spots to Dirt Likes and Sally. So, that's one of those things right there, Bradley, that you got to be able to try to limit the mistakes, especially when something like that right there happens. You got to not slide through your box, because if you slide through your box, then you're going to end up easily losing 2 or 3 spots, especially on a caution flag when you're pitting.
It's got to be frustrating, too, because I think the 51 had worked his way back up, and just outside the top 5, he was catching up to CJ Gates and those guys, and he was right on the back of Trenton Wilkin as that caution came out. Now he has to start all over again, and he only has about 5 laps to do it as the lights are out on the pace truck. It's Brent Allen back up front here for his 2nd restart of the day. Race recap up on your screen, 6 lead changes and 4 cautions. So we're going back green for the 5th time. And we do have green-white checkers. If you're not familiar with how that works, these drivers have to make it to the white flag to make this race official. If a caution were to come out here, they will extend the race, and we'll have an additional 3 laps to go green. We will have 3 attempts at that. Until we run out of them, we're racing to the white flag.
Yeah, that's going to get interesting right there if we end up running into some green-white checkers, honestly, Bradley, because there you see everything right there as far as the 2 green-white checkers, all that good stuff. It's going to get dicey right here. I got a feeling. I mean, you got some guys on some 2 tires. You got everybody else on 4, and poor old Brent Allen out there. He's out of tires, so he's basically stuck with what he had, which almost ended up making him go a lap down. So this may be one of the more, I guess you could say, interesting restarts for the QSR Xfinity Series this season.
Well, it's about to get really good. Pace truck out of the way. Brent Allen can take it at any point here, but he's going to wait a little bit here. McMurtry spins the tires. He's going to be down to the inside, and it is a complete cluster down to turn 1.
I'm telling you right now, cluster ain't even short of it. And when I was talking about interesting restart, I was talking about a wild restart. Check them out. A couple of them banging off of the wall back there. And now McMurtry trying to see if he can slide back up here and get back to Wilkin. Brent Allen on those old tires up here still has the lead. Kevin West down on the bottom side. Monix up on the top. CJ Gates right behind him. West shows the nose. Monix gets loose on the top side. Kevin West gonna look like he's gonna go for 2nd as Monix gets loose and hits the wall.
And now that opens up the door for CJ Gates at a possible top 3.
Oh man, and that right there, that's 2 tires right there. Wow, CJ Gates all the way down to the inside wall, 3 wide. West and Gates, both of them go around Allen, and CJ Gates, full send boat, goes around Kevin West. West tries to pull the crossover. Right behind him, Caleb Nelson sitting in a pretty good spot. He's going to try to go for 2nd. Pokes his nose down there. Gates trying to get away with one, and damn near still won the 48s around. Caution on the speedway. Derek McMurtry loses the whole front end of the car, ends up just towing back to the pits. Caution on the speedway, and Bradley there for a second. I thought CJ Gates was going to end up stealing this one here at Indy, but unfortunately caution out on the track. You see right there, Derek McMurtry gets around Joyner. Morgan Cook right behind him. Let's see exactly what ends up happening. And wow, I mean, Morgan throttles up out of that, or Derek just didn't get back to the gas in time. Hits the inside retaining wall so damn hard he ends up losing the engine, the tires. He ends up losing everything in that 48. He's gonna have nightmares after that wreck right there. I can back guarantee that.
Wow, who was that dodged that?
Honestly, there was a couple of them. I mean, there was a couple of them that ended up dodging it right there with Derek McMurtry going around. But, I mean, you know, you hate to see it for anybody right there to end up going around. I'm actually looking back. Wow, check that out. Spencer Johnson in the 29.
It was Ryan Commons, actually, in the 3.
Oh, was it Ryan? Well, both of them's got some white on their cars.
I think Ryan was shaking the wheel back and forth one more time here. I think he was checking to see if he still had a pulse.
Woo! Wow, I got a feeling he's going to have some nightmares just like Derek McMurtry's going to have. Both of them going to have nightmares after that one, after both of them almost ended up beating. And Commons almost ended up sending Derek McMurtry into literal outer space right there. If he would have hit him right there, he would have sent him straight up into outer space.
So the 48 done for the day. Heavy damage on the 48 machine. He'll probably come home in about the 17th position here. He's being scored 2 laps down now as they cross the line. And it's a shame there for the 48 team. And it's a real shame that I have to remain biased because I saw that and I saw the logo on the car that hit him.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, I mean, honestly, I mean, you know, I'm good friends with all of them over at Venom Motorsports, as well as you talking about, you know, I think right there, I mean, I'm not 100% sure exactly how that ended up happening. I think maybe McMurtry may have checked up, might have got loose. I'm trying to look on my end to kind of see exactly how all that ended up playing out as to whether or not Morgan just gassed up. I wouldn't think Morgan would just gas up and just straight up turn him. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't think he would. But I think McMurtry might have just got a little bit loose right there, and Morgan might have got into him a little bit, maybe either way. But I don't know, Bradley. Let's get your pick on it. What do you think happened?
I mean, I think this is a matter of adrenaline combination with the 4 laps to go. You've got guys that are trying to get back to where they feel they should be, and sometimes you get that tunnel vision into the corner where, yeah, there's a guy in front of you, but you're still going to hit the pedal and hit your mark, and you kind of forget that that guy in front of you might be on a little bit older stuff or maybe has a little bit different line than you. And I think that's kind of been the combination for a lot of these accidents in the last 20 laps or so, is guys just, they've used up their stuff or they're still trying to hit marks that maybe the car's not there anymore. And this track has changed. You can bring up the weather and look at it. 91 degrees. It's a little bit stickier than it was at the start, so that right rear is probably not stepping out as much as it was to get that drive off.
Well, I'll say this, Bradley. I mean, you said it, I didn't. So that's the way we'll look at it as far as what happened. But, I mean, I'm telling you, you got a serious, seriously crazy top 5 right here as the pace lights is out. We're getting ready to go back green. I mean, just check out this top 5 right here. You got CJ Gates in the number 14. Nobody really saw him coming. I mean, you know, I have to be honest with you. I really didn't see CJ Gates. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it coming. CJ Gates up here. Kevin West, we expected him to be up here, honestly. I mean, Bradley, both of us expected Kevin West to be up here. Caleb Nelson, we didn't talk about him the first part of the race, and then he said, you know what, screw it, I want to be talked about. So he ends up going to 3rd. Trenton Wilkham, we talked a little bit about him. obviously started third, currently sitting in the 4th spot. But how about this right here? Fred Allen talked about it. He ain't got no tires left, man. I mean, he's just here.
He's out here. He's along for the ride.
So, yeah, I mean, he's along for the ride and just hoping like hell that he's able to finish right here. And he may end up looking up out of this somehow, some way, and end up getting the top 10 out of this. Or they may all, I mean, he may end up getting a pretty good restart, and then all these guys just end up wadding up right behind him. So Fred Allen may end up looking like a genius when this thing's all said and done. I didn't say he was going to. I said he may end up looking like a genius when this thing's done.
Don't look out for that wheel spin, though. 13. You saw a little bit of that wheel spin on that restart with McMurtry on the outside, or on the inside, rather. And that set up that slew of cars just, dicing, slicing all the way to turn 1. And then we came out of turn 4. There was more wheel spin. Some guys got out of shape. I think that's why you saw CJ Gates take it 3 wide, and now he finds himself on this restart, onto the loud pedal. 2 laps to go when they cross the line. Green, white, checkered attempt number 1.
And here we go. It's going to get interesting.
Oh,
CJ
contact.
Gates. Wow, contact. Big time contact. Caleb Nelson, Ronnie Joyner, both of them goes around caution on the speedway.
And Joyner has lost the left front. It's rolling down the inside grass. The 00 is done for the day.
Unfortunate to see that right there. Not exactly sure what exactly had happened right there, but we'll check it out on the instant replay. I think it might have just been a bad, it was Wilkin in the 12. Wilkin comes down, hard impact right there for Ronnie Joyner. I mean, everybody just kind of just flies in there, ends up cleaning him out. But from what I saw right there, Bradley, West tries to jump down. He tries to jump down, block the advance of Caleb Nelson. And then Wilkin, he just follows him down there pretty much. He just follows him down. It ends up coming down and gets right into Joyner. Then Joyner ends up getting into Wilkin. Wilkin comes down, gets into Nelson. It was a damn domino effect is what happened right there between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And, you'll see it right here on the instant replay. Wilkin, there you see everybody checking up. Wilkin just tries to jump down. I don't know if he was trying to side draft or what. But unfortunately, Joyner was right there on his left rear, gets into him, and then just everybody spins around. Nelson, he's out. Joyner's out. You're going to ride on board with Morgan Cook. I got a feeling this is going to be a hell of a ride because he actually going to come out 4th after all of this. Oh, let's see what happens to Cook right here. Wow, just saw it all take place right there. And there you see the aftermath right behind you.
Let's go on board here with Ronnie Joyner as well. I think he got the worst end of this. He was not even really part of it. That's what it was right there.
Yeah,
I think Wilkin came down, Wilkin came down and got tagged. That's what sent the 12 into the 07.
Well, he was probably thinking that Joyner maybe was going to try to maybe go 3 wide. I'm not really sure why he was thinking that. Maybe he thought that he could jump into a hole that really wasn't there. And then unfortunately he ends up taking out 2 drivers, Joyner and Caleb Nelson. Hate to see it for Caleb Nelson. Was able to drive his way, get up there and maybe get a solid top 5 before the whole thing was before the thing was all said and done. And then Joyner, obviously second in the points coming into tonight. Obviously, that's not what he wants. Obviously, going into the playoffs here in the next couple of weeks. So unfortunate to see that right there for all those drivers. That's a tough break right there, especially on restarts and all that ends up happening. That's unfortunate.
The guys that are leading the points here, Daniel Molnix and Ronnie Joyner, are out. You got Kevin West, who's still out here on the racetrack, but he's outside the top 10 right now coming into this week. You got Dirk Likes, who's up there in the top 10 in points, so he's got a good opportunity. Morgan Cook trying to get a recovery from, we had a little off week here with Morgan, and I had to take the broadcast during Darlington, so we missed out on a drop week there. And Kevin West, CJ Gates having probably the best points day that he's had all season. He could win this race, and we said that we didn't expect it, but Gates has been fast. He started back in 9th. He's worked through this field. He got up to the top 5 pretty quickly to start this race out, so he's shown some speed. And maybe not, top 3 speed all day, but right now I think he's going to be really tough to pass, and I would hope so because he's only got 3 laps to go when they take the green flag.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to get interesting right here with these guys. Obviously, this is their second green, white checkered attempt. And, folks, if a caution does, yeah, but this is it right here. If the caution comes out before they get back to the line, it's over. Every bit of it, it is over. Now, if they was to get back to the white flag, there is no caution. They'll go 2.5 miles and race it out for the, I guess you could say, virtual kiss of the bricks here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the legacy version. So this is going to be, I mean, Bradley, I've talked about it numerous times. Crazy restarts. We've seen some crazy restarts and seen some crazy stuff happen here tonight. But I've got a feeling right now this may end up being one of the more crazier restarts. CJ Gates on the bottom, Kevin West, Trenton Wilkin, and Morgan Cook up here in the top 4. And obviously Dirt Likes, we talked about him, that crazy strategy that he had. He's worked his way up to 5th. And how about the driver that's up to right behind the guy that's on his outside? You see Marshall Newton, but the guy right behind him, the Crocs car, Ethan Wisniewski, has worked his way from 20th all the way up to sitting right now comfortably in P8 when we go green.
And I'm looking at the 76 of Marshall Newton. I'm sure he's glad he was able to save that machine after he had that spin back on lap, I believe it was like lap 50. The 76 and the 12 got together. Yeah, that's sitting right there with the 76. He salvaged the day. He can get a top 5 out of this after going a complete 360 in the middle of the back straight. And so here we go. Gates, West, Wilkin, Cook, Newton, that top 5. Pace truck's going to get out of the way for the last green-white checkered attempt of the day. We're running out of cars. We're running out of time. Green flag is out. Gates on the loud pedal down the front stretch.
Gates is trying to check out Kevin West, maybe try to see if he can throw a block on Trent Wilkin. Not able to do it. Actually, West, he's going to fall solidly into the 2nd spot. Wilkin, he's going to go back to 3rd. Morgan Cook in a side-by-side battle with Dirt Likes. Cook trying to see if he can get clear. Maybe try to get 4th. Now Likes sends it down on the bottom side. The Daytona winner from earlier on this season. CJ Gates has the lead, and Kevin West is really starting to make a charge as he goes to the outside.
Not a good run there off the exit. They got to come around for the white flag here.
See what happens. CJ Gates slides up. Kevin West is going to try to peek down to the inside. We'll see if West can try to make the pass and get the win here tonight at Indy, but Gates able to get clear. Morgan Cook back still battling with Dirt Likes. Wow, Cook turns into Likes. Caution is out, and that will be the race as Dirt Likes takes a hell of a tumble going down the front stretch here at Indy. Caution is out, and it looks like your winner will be the 14 of CJ Gates.
We need to go back and watch this replay.
I don't know if I want to see it, Bradley, because I'm telling you right now, you thought about Derek McMurtry going to have some nightmares when this thing was all said and done. I got a feeling right now Dirt Likes is going to have some serious nightmares when this sucker's all said and done, because I'm telling you, he took a tumble. He took a flip. He got nailed about 3 or 4 times. And you're checking out right on the instant replay. Wow, Morgan Cook, I mean, he looked like he kind of set it in there. Maybe Dirt come down and chopped his nose. And then Morgan tries to come up. I don't know, but check this out right here. Bam, gets slammed in the back end and then just tumbles down the front stretch here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Randy Sally ends up getting involved, as well as, believe, Trent Wilkin. I believe Wilkin was one of those drivers that ended up getting into it as well. I believe that might have been Commons. But there you see the contact right there between Morgan and Cook. Got Likes up on the top side. Cook maybe tried to come over and give a side grab. I don't know.
I put that on the 51. I'm putting that one on Morgan. He got up into him. I gotta call a spade a spade. He came up into him.
that's unfortunate right there for dirt likes and everybody that ends up getting involved, but that's going to do it right there. CJ Gates gets it. Kevin West, Trenton Wilkin, the podium finishers. How about that right there for CJ Gates? Right place, right time. And I mean, Kevin West had a shot at him. He literally had a shot at him right there at the end, Bradley. But I mean, in the end, Gates was able to get the run off of the corner. And then I'm not going to sit here and say that he lucked out with the caution because he looked like he had some serious speed right there at the end. If he could hold off Kevin West for at least that one lap, I had a feeling that he was going to be able to hold him off for at least another.
So CJ Gates going to get his first victory of the season here at Indianapolis, and he'll do his parade lap to bring it back to the front straightaway, and we'll burn it down here with the 14.
Awesome to see it right there with Shaggy, I guess you could say, over there on the side of the race car. Basically Scooby-Doo all over the race car. Awesome to see that. Kind of a little bit of a throwback, I guess you could say, Bradley, back, to the Cartoon Network car. I believe that may have been where they was trying to go with that as far as CJ Gates. But he's burning it down right on the front stretch. That's his first win of the season. Obviously, that's going to lock him into the playoffs. There you see, sitting in ninth in the points. So, I mean, Bradley, we talked about it. He's had kind of a quiet season, I guess you could say. We don't really talk about him that much, but I mean, sitting top 10 in the point standings, this is definitely going to boost him above some of those other guys, and obviously put him up there in the winners column, especially when we go to the playoffs.
Post-race interviews with your top three. QSR Xfinity Series has concluded their race here at Indianapolis. Stay tuned. We'll get those drivers and your final results right after this.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Back live from Indianapolis, QSR Simulations has concluded their 66 laps here at Indianapolis, and a surprise victory from 9th position here tonight. CJ Gates is going to be victorious after Kevin West led some laps, Trenton Wilkin up front. You had the 00 of Ronnie Joyner lead some laps. It's a tough day for some of these guys that are leading the points coming into tonight. Trenton Wilkin's going to get 3rd. Morgan Cook is going to get 4th position. Ethan Wisnowski with a fifth place spot after starting in 20th. That Crocs machine able to get around after that big wreck coming out of the front stretch. We have Marshall Newton, in 6th spot. Shane Ferguson in 7th. Randy Saleh in 8th. Ryan Commons in 9th. And Dirk Likes is going to round out the top 10.
Then the rest of the field right here sitting in 11th is going to be Brent Allen. Pulled some serious strategy, didn't have any tires left over Still, he's going to end up finishing 11th. So, still, a good run for Brent when it could have really went downhill from numerous angles. If you want to look at it for the number 13 of Brent Allen, Joseph Terciano will get 12th. Spencer Johnson will get 13th. Caleb Nelson 14th. Ronnie Joyner will get 15th. Daniel Molnix will get 16th. Mike Petrum will end up getting 17th. Derek McMurtry will end up finishing 18th. Jared Ziegler, the pole sitter, will end up finishing 19th. And Austin Dowdy rounds out the top 20.
7 cautions, 8 lead changes. Galen Wunsch is going to bring it home 21st. All these cars from about 17th, 16th position down were out of the race here. We have Frank Walsh, Vernon Margheim, Clay Nelson, and Chris Nail to round out that field, but we used both our green-white checkers, and we did not finish this race officially under green. A little out of the ordinary here for the QSR Xfinity Series. We finished every single race thus far under green, but this is the first one where it just didn't quite make it to the line. We were about 100 feet short of that tonight, Jake, and it kind of, I guess, kind of puts a damper on the action that we saw, because we saw a lot of good racing. We had a long green flag run there in the second half of this event, and I thought maybe, just maybe, we were going to run it out to the end.
Well, I mean, Bradley, you talked about it right there. I mean, literally out of the ordinary, I guess you could say. Well, this track, I mean, I hate to say it, and I don't want to put anything away from it, but it is out of the ordinary. We're used to the cookie cutters, used to the 1.5-mile racetracks like Texas, Kansas, Chicagoland, even Atlanta. Now, since they repaved it, but even old Atlanta, if you want to put it that way, we're used to those tracks where you basically got 2 turns with turns 1, 2, and turns 3 and 4. This is completely different, where you got 4 turns. So, yes, an out of the ordinary race. I mean, you talked about it, the action. We saw some guys take some hellacious hits. Thankful that this is a simulation, because if it wasn't a simulation, somebody would have probably really got hurt in those 2 crashes with Dirt Likes and Derek McMurtry. But surprise winner. And oddly enough, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, kind of that Casey Kane, Ryan Newman feel from what it feels like right here. CJ Gates getting the win in that.
We have caught up with your top 3. We're going to go down to pit road now and catch up with your third place finisher, and that's going to be Trenton Wilkin in the number 12. Trenton, I know you were up front for a lot of this day. You had kind of a turbulent moment there on that, what would have been about 10 laps to go. We had that long green flag run. The car's starting to push up the racetrack, and that set us up for the 2 green-white checkers. What was going through your mind there on these last couple restarts?
Yeah, I felt bad about the coming up the track. I thought I left enough room, but the first green white checkered, I felt like I had room in my mirror. I looked like I was clear, but I guess I wasn't, and it just bumped me sideways, or it was like net code or whatever. And that last restart, I felt like if we would have got to that line, I feel like I could have had a chance, since I was about to gain momentum to come around and possibly fight for a win.
When the 12 looked fast, you started out this race in the top 3. You were battling with Joyner and the 57, who unfortunately Ziegler out of this race as well. But you had pretty good speed in the 12. We talked a little bit about that short run, but now let's go into, we had a long green flag run, and you were kind of approaching that that moment where, did you guys think that if it went green from about lap 30 that you could make it to the end?
Yeah, probably. It was like I filled up like 35. They said I have 35 laps. I got stuck in pits because I didn't even fill up enough gas because the trying to get the correct laps, I got it wrong and had to sit there, and we got way back into the order.
Well, Trenton, you come home third, finally getting this thing out of the way. I know some guys don't favor the Brickyard, but it looked like you were pretty fond of it here. Anybody come to mind when you want to shout out?
I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom. I know she's out there. Love you. Happy Mother's Day.
There you go. Happy Mother's Day to Trenton Wilkins' mom, and we thank you for coming down here on pit road, and thank you for your time, Trenton. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
So there he is, third place finisher of the night, Trenton Wilkin in the number 12. Just a little short walk here down to the second place finisher, and I have Kevin West up here in the booth. Kevin West, you had some speed, but it looked like you were cut short there with that final caution. I thought maybe you had an opportunity on that last green white checker to get around the 14, but it looked like it was just not enough.
Yeah, I got just a little too tight there off of 4, and he was able to pull out there on me. But I think everybody knows who the man was today. I mean, I had it in the bag there with 10 to go. So what can you say, man? That's my luck.
Yeah, you look fast there on that long run. You had pulled away over a second on Joyner, and Molnix had actually gotten around the 00. Well, let's go back to the beginning of this race. You had started back in 4th spot and then kind of fell out of the top 5 for a moment. Were you conserving tires in the hopes of this race stay green, or was it just kind of these guys overdriving their stuff? What was the case there for the one machine today?
It was probably a mixture of both. I was trying to take care of the right front tire, and I think those guys were just firing off, trying to race and get the lead. And I was trying to be a little bit conservative. I was getting a little bit worried because this track, it has to be my worst track. Whatever it is about these fast, flat tracks, I just don't get along with them very well. Put me on Charlotte all day, and I'm good to go. But me and Indy don't really mesh too well together. But I really didn't figure out the line until, gosh, the last third of the race. I think I was entering a little bit too low and exiting a little bit too low, but I figured it out towards the end.
Well, I know it comes to you, this racetrack ever changing. It seemed to cool off there towards the end. Seemed to help you steer a little bit better. But runner up here today, Kevin West, you got 2 wins this season, just outside of that third one. Anybody you'd like to shout out?
Shout out to Vspeed. You guys are probably the best in the business that I've encountered so far. You guys put on a great show. Shout out to everyone at QSR for putting all this together. Shout out, of course, to all my mobile homies on TikTok. Got about 1,000 viewers in here tonight. So hello to everybody. Hi, Mom. I think that's about it.
And plug the Trailer Park Dude on TikTok if you want to go check this content out. I'm sure there's going to be a few videos here from Indy after this finish. We appreciate your time, Kevin West. Take care, buddy. We'll see you next week.
All right, man. See you next week.
And that's the number 1 machine. Runner up here today from Indy. But finally, we have Jake Reeves down in victory lane. CJ Gates, I'm sure, is losing his mind right now, right next to you.
Yeah, CJ Gates ends up getting the win here tonight, CJ. I'm telling you what. I mean, you talked about it. We talked about it off of there that, you practice so much to be able to try to come in here, compete, and try to get a win. What's the win mean for you here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Let that sink in. Indy, you wanted Indy.
It means a lot. It feels damn good. I'll tell you, I've been really trying to compete with these guys, and it just played out the way I wanted it to today.
And CJ, I mean, you end up getting the win tonight, obviously. The chase, playoff, however you want to look at it, however they end up calling it. Starting, obviously, July the 2nd, that's when the chase begins and everything. Obviously, you get the win. You're locked into the playoffs. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Is that going to change your strategy for, say, maybe the next 3 races, like, say, Homestead, Talladega, and Rockingham? Is this going to change your strategy or how you're going to race for the rest of the season?
No, not at all. I'm gonna still keep putting in some practice laps, during the week when I get a chance to, and on the weekends, and then I'm gonna go out there and try to stay with them leaders because a lot of them guys are a lot faster than most of us. So I'm just trying to stay within reach of them and hopefully strike again.
The underdog with Scooby on the hood of the car. CJ Gates gets the win here tonight at Indy. And CJ, before we let you go, you got any sponsors, any shout outs you want to thank for making it possible?
Just want to give a shout out to you guys up there at Vspeed and QSR for holding this league. It's been a lot of fun. So really appreciate everybody.
CJ Gates Gets the win, buddy. Congratulations on the win. I know it was a long time coming, but congratulations on the win. Appreciate your time. We'll see you in Homestead next week.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Hands are still sweating. Thanks, man.
So there's victory lane with CJ Gates, and a little surprising, but not totally surprised. If he's putting in the time, it's only a matter of time before he finds his way to victory lane, and he gets it done here for his first win in QSR Xfinity Series. We hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race. So we bring you flag-to-flag coverage all season long for QSR Xfinity. Next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to Homestead, Miami for another great battle, and yours truly will be out there on the racetrack. You'll have Morgan Cook and Jacob Reeves up here in the booth. Again, that's at 8 p.m. If you're still craving some racing here on Vspeed, we have BTDY and their Cup Series and the Overtake iRacing League Xfinity Series are live currently right now, just teeing off there for the Xfinity Series at Oil. And it looks like some road course racing for BTDY as well. Names like Adam Cabot up front right now as I preview that. But for everybody at Vspeed that helped put this together, Adam Baker, who makes all the graphics and does some production work behind the scenes, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, Christian Hill, our other producers, and my co-commentator, Jake Reeves, the redneck announcer, up here in the booth with me tonight. This is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your week. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Cup Series and Racing Revolution.